Hi guys, it's Caroline, and today I'm going to be doing the mid-year freakout tag. Now, I know it's been a hot minute since you've heard from me, and that's because like 2 weeks ago, I feel like life just exploded. And by that I mean lightning struck my house, which meant that I had like no AC, no internet. It ruined a bunch of our electronics that had been plugged in during the time of the strike. Finally, we have like AC units, which you might hear humming in the background, and we're still waiting to have like real AC. And I live in South Carolina where it's really hot and humid. And then on top of that, last week I actually started the Columbia Publishing course, which is a 4-week course. It's online this year, although normally it's not. That's supposed to be an introduction into the publishing world. And on top of that, I actually received my first job offer. So for the next 6 months, like literally the day after Columbia Publishing course ends, I will be working as a literary scout, which I'm very excited about, until the end of 2021. And then I will have to do all the job hunting all over again. But yeah, so as you can see, a lot's happened in the last like 2.5 weeks since I last filmed. So that's why. But let's get into the freakout tag. So first question is simple. What is your favorite book of 2021 so far? I'm pretty much down to 2, but the one that I will say is A Swim in a Pond in the Rain by George Saunders. This one could also go for the one that gave me the biggest surprise, because I didn't really like Lincoln in the Bardo, and I'm not a huge nonfiction reader, so I was like kind of iffy on this book in general. I absolutely loved it. It's 7 short stories by 4 different Russian writers, and George Saunders, who runs an MFA program at Syracuse and teaches a class very similar to this, walks through all the different short stories and explains like what all the different parts of the story are doing. And it felt like being in class again, which I really sorely missed, and I loved it. And I feel like it reignited kind of my love for a short story, which I think I've been maybe struggling with for the past little bit. Next is the best sequel I've read so far. Now, I have actually not read that many sequels. So I feel like a broken record. I talk about this book all the time, and I'm really not like the big super Cassandra Clare fangirl, but it's probably because I've only read like 4 sequels. So it didn't have steep competition, and I foresee myself in the future reading a lot more fantasy and this getting knocked off, but that would be Chain of Iron, which is the second in the Last Hours trilogy by Cassandra Clare, which it's just good, clean fun. I mean, it's just what you want in a YA fantasy. There's romance. It's in old England, and it's got, battle scenes with demons. Okay? It's what we came here for. It's what I wanted. It ripped my heart out. Boom. Okay, new release that you haven't read yet that you want to read. That's got to be The Other Black Girl. I cannot wait to read this book. It is about a Black woman in the publishing industry. As you've just heard, I'm in the publishing course right now. I am about to have a job at a literary scouting agency, which is not a publishing company like this book is about, but I'm trying to get into that world. And so I just can't wait to read kind of about it. And I think this kind of dives into the, darker, not so nice side of it. And I'm excited for it. Also, even though this is the ARC cover, it's still beautiful, and the like real cover that they're selling, also beautiful. It's just a pretty book, and so buy it so that they know that their graphic design was for this. Okay, what is a release in the second half of the year that you're looking forward to? That has to be Beautiful World, Where Are You? By Sally Rooney. I've read her books, as many people have, and I really love them, and I can't wait to have another one. I get it, they're kind of all the same. This one will probably be the same based on the synopsis. It seems very similar to the kind of characters that we had in Normal People and Conversations with Friends. Do I care? No. I'm gonna read it, and I'm gonna be excited about it. Next up is the biggest disappointment of the year so far, and I found this one hard because, weirdly enough, like I am willing to read a lot of books that then I end up not liking, and I'm like, yeah, I could have seen that coming. And so it's not surprising, which seems bad because it's like, why am I reading books that I know I'm not gonna love? I don't know. I will say the one that did kind of surprise me was We Hunt the Flame, and I knew this was a YA fantasy. I knew that it was going to have some enemies to lovers, which isn't always my favorite, especially in YA fantasy, but I thought that this just completely missed the mark. I found it just The romance didn't make sense. They felt like two of the same people, just in different circumstances, and it felt too forced. There was like, why are you in love with him? He literally like killed your best friend in front of your eyes. Like, it just like, it didn't make sense. I thought the description of the setting was really poorly done. I had almost no ability to imagine what things looked like. It was almost like they were acting in a black box theater. And I didn't find the story itself compelling, on top of the fact that I didn't find the romance compelling, on top of the fact that I didn't find the characters compelling. That was the biggest disappointment. On a happier note, what was my biggest surprise? And that would have to be 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. Now, I had heard a lot of mixed things about that book, and I am so picky when it comes to mysteries and thrillers, because I feel like if the ending just doesn't hold up, then I'm mad. And this book was a mystery, and it dealt with time travel, which is a tricky thing. It's very easily to get things messed up, either plot-wise, or you're just like, that's a cop-out or whatever. And I thought it did it really, really well. And I was captivated. I was confused at times, but then I figured it out, and I just like liked it in general. And I was just surprised, because I have heard people say they didn't like it. I've also heard people say they loved it, and I really liked it. So I was surprised, because I'm a picky mystery reader. Next question is your new crush, and like, that's just not my vibe. I'm gonna be honest. It's not my vibe. Moving on, my favorite character, it would have to be Elizabeth from the Thursday Murder Club, because she just got shit done. And I love that. Like, I love that she was like calling people up, you know, oh, we needed this information. She's walking into the police station, like pretending to be a nun or whatever. You know, she just like did stuff. And I love that she was like someone who's older, in her 70s. And it just showed that like, it doesn't matter how old you are, like you can go and get shit done. And I love that, and I loved her, and that book is just so fun. And that was also another surprise, a little bit, because again, it was a mystery, and I loved it. On the flip side, this is not one of the questions, but I'm making it one of the questions, and that question is going to be my least favorite character. And I don't mean like, oh my god, I hated it, so I hate the book. Like, a character that I thought was delightfully awful, that I just like would not want to be friends with, but still enjoyed reading about, and that would have to be Bunny from The Secret History. Oh my god. Bunny's the worst. I actually found this book to be really, really great. I'll talk about it in my June wrap-up, but I do feel like the down and dirty on The Secret History is, it's a solid 4 stars. It's very wonderful. If 100 pages in the middle of it had been condensed to 30, this would have been a 5-star read. And that's all I'll say. But Bunny in this book is the worst character I've read this year, but in like the best way. A book that made you cry, The Four Winds by Kristen Hanna. I have not read The Nightingale, and I am scared now, because this is not even her like book that's famous for being like the best, the one that'll make you cry. And it did make me cry, and it was touching, and I really liked it. I'm scared to read The Nightingale. I think it's gonna really punch me in the face. Then a book that made you happy, and for this I just have to go with Heartstopper volumes 2 and 3, which I have read recently. And like, these books I feel like do nothing except for bring happiness, you know. And they talk about, you know, issues, and I think there's good representation, but for me, I just feel like I don't read them because I'm gonna get this like great plot or anything. You just read them, and it's like 90 minutes of just feeling happy. The most beautiful book you've acquired. Now, my birthday is in September and Christmas is in December, so we've not yet gotten to when I will get gifts, which is a lot of times when I will ask for books that are pretty, like really special editions of stuff. So this is really just what's the prettiest cover that I've gotten. And I would have to say the ones we're meant to find, and this is the Owl Crate edition. I'm not 100% sure how the colors differ on the regular one, but I like really love this light pink and purple thing going on. The faces work well. I love this color scheme. I kind of love the ocean stuff. I like this font. I think this is a pretty book. I wish it kind of had like sprayed edges and like a lilac, but you know, we can't have everything. And then finally, some books that I need to read in 2021. I mean, all of them, all the books. But if I really had to narrow it down to 2 that I'm just like, girl, what are you doing? The number 1 would have to be The Burning God. And I want to read this so bad. I love The Poppy War. I love The Dragon Republic. I read them in 2019. This book came out in November 2020. I like could have read it any moment now, but really it's because I think I'm waiting for the perfect moment, and it's also the perfect moment to read the entire trilogy, and that just feels daunting. And I know it's going to take me a hot minute, and I feel like I've been busy, but aren't we always busy? So there's just no excuse. And then the other one is also a late 2020 release, and that is Legendborn. I've talked about this so many times because I need to read it so badly. I think it's just like it's hefty and I get nervous. And then I know it's a series, but I don't know when the next book is coming out, and so that makes me a little hesitant because sometimes I like to marathon it, but I think this is supposed to be a really long series and I want to read it. I don't want to wait until there's 6 books out, because that'll be 6 years from now. So I need to just get off my butt and read this. Alrighty guys, that is the mid-year book freak out tag. Consider yourself tagged. If you want to do it, do it. And thanks for sticking with me despite the fact that I've not been super active, but I promise I'm getting back into the swing of things. And have a great day. Bye.